Avoiding back, shoulder, and neck pain while playing sitting down takes a bit of awareness about what is causing the tightening. So if I'm sitting here and I've got my legs pretty level, I'm actually sitting on my piano bench over here. Um, just because it is a great example. The legs are pretty level. There's a slight downward slope that tends to be the case with a lot of chairs that we sit in, right? But ideal would be it's a little bit more level like this, but even sitting like this, that's fine. You can see the guitar is stationary. It's on my right leg. Um, as I play it, what we tend to do when we play in this position is we bend our torso forward and we twist. So without the instrument, bending my torso forward, and a slight twist. So I'm already exerting the lower back. If anybody has played in this position for an extended period of time, you'll know that your back starts to hurt. What happens is if we continue to play through that pain comes on sooner and sooner and sooner. So the way to relieve that is to actually do a bit of practice with just sitting. So getting the guitar out of the equation, if I take this like good height of a chair, we want to find one that allows us to sit pretty well and pretty flat with the legs, feet flat on the floor, legs, shoulder width apart. If I allow myself to sit back and have, a bit of a straight back and sit here, put the timer on for 10 minutes, 600 seconds, see how you feel. See if you can sustain that, right? You might actually have to strengthen the back a little bit if you want to continue to play in that position. When I was taking classical guitar lessons in college as an undergraduate, this is actually one of the early lessons that I had when it came to rehauling my technique was put the guitar in the stand, put the guitar down, just sat in the chair and just learned how to situate myself so that way I could stay in a stationary position that felt painless, right? So you want to be using the larger muscles in the back to allow yourself to stay situated upright. Okay, so after you do a bit of that, now when you put the guitar on the right leg, instead of leaning into it, you actually maintain that distance. So a great way to sort of notice the difference is just really the visual where your head is, right? If your head is down here a lot, you're over, or you're really in like this, really curled in, you're really pulling on that back. You're leaning forward, you're no longer straight. So if we allow ourselves to have a very straight back, now my head is all the way back here. So learning how to play and practice, even if I'm missing the chords, missing the notes, it doesn't matter. Allow yourself to sit up as you play and get your positioning so you can play whatever it is you feel like playing, right? So no matter what the style of playing is either, right? The idea is that I'm keeping my head up and I'm keeping my shoulders back. By doing that, I'm always keeping distance between the neck instead of closing in the distance. Often in my teaching, they'll say, what we want to do is we don't want to contort ourselves to the guitar. People were made before guitars were made. So it's not the chicken and the egg debate. All right. In this case, what we want to understand is that guitars were made for people to play, right? But generally sort of in an accepted style, right? Once ergonomics start coming into play, sure, certain guitars got different designs and all that, right? But instead of looking at the guitar and going, how do I wrap myself around it? If we have the perspective of how can I bring this instrument to me without me making the adjustment to it, then we have an approach that is a lot healthier and a lot less painful as a playing experience. So I can sit with it like this, right? Another thing that helps when we're sitting with the right leg is to actually have it out more. So a lot of times when we're newer at this, we're going to have the guitar very flush against our abdomen here, right? And that makes things quite a bit challenging. Even on the elbow, it's too far back. We actually want the elbow here, right there, right? No guitar, just bend the elbow. We want it here. If it's there, it's too far back. It starts digging into the torso, especially as I start going higher up the neck, right? So we don't want it flush against our abdomen like that. Instead, what I can do is swing it out and actually have it where I'm sitting straight to you right now, and you can see the headstocks pointing at you. So playing more on this right side, or even just a slight adjustment of that, is very nice, and you can get things to come out well that way. And also, it keeps our shoulders back, right? It makes it a little difficult to actually get down into the guitar because we're actually moving the neck further away from our vantage point. If I'm back here, I could see a bit more. If I move the neck this way, I can't see as much. So this is teaching me to sort of see a bit more like when I'm playing standing up with the strap. Now, shoulder pain and neck pain come usually from an assistance, a totally unconscious or subconscious assistance of tension, right? So especially if we're the kind of player that starts squeezing the piece of wood, the whole neck, we want to be able to hold the whole guitar like that, If we're like that, a lot of times, especially like once people start bending, I'll see this in the students a lot, right? I'll see this kind of thing, right? You see, there's a raising of the shoulder just to do that. You can see I just picked the string up with my finger alone. It's not that much pressure. And with a little bit of leverage and a little bit of precision getting underneath the string, it's actually very easy to pick the string up, right? Depending on the size of the strings you're using. These are 8s. But being able to become aware of when the tension is caused is the thing that's going to allow us to not experience the tension, because then we'll know when to stop holding the tension. The definition of tension is the holding of force. So we have to know when to stop holding the tension and really how to stop holding the tension. So let's say I just go to grab the guitar, and I've even seen this before, not even with bending, but just to approach the guitar. There's an automatic shoulder involvement, right? And what we're doing is we're just tensing all these muscle groups up here. We're just tensing them as if we're bracing for something, right? But this is the issue with the squeezing mentality. This is the issue with we have to push into the guitar or clamp the fingers together, when in reality, that's the quickest way to get tendonitis. Even the great Stevie Ray Vaughan had tendonitis at the end of his life. You look at the interview with his guitar tech, he talks about the tendonitis that Stevie was experiencing. That's why his string tension went down and down and down. So this idea of alleviating the shoulders is simply about, okay, play a little bit, right? Hold the note, and now allow yourself to go, what would it feel like if I just completely relaxed my shoulders, right? And lighten up the grip so much that the hand falls off. So getting used to this feeling of gravity and accepting it allows us to then know what it feels like to simply now move from the pivot points, like the elbows, right? Instead of using the entire shoulder to lift my arm, I can simply pivot from the elbow and get a placement of where I want my fingers to be, whether I'm doing stretching, right? Or whether I'm doing bends, like thumb more over the top with the leverage, right? You can see as I'm bending, I'm not asking anything from the upper part of my body. I'm not allowing myself to lift in this kind of, I'm going to call it manner. This kind of manner. It's not the right kind. So in this case, keep everything light, keep everything easy. Allow yourself to move from your pivot points here. Keep your shoulders back, keep them relaxed. Practice sitting just without the guitar for an extended period of time, and you can have a much more pain-free experience. Thank you. If you want more of my help, please feel free to send me a message. I'd love to help you out.